Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever time you're watching this. We're recording Eastern Time on Saturday the 27th. So today's episode of Unwrapped, we're going to do things a little bit differently. In the last couple of episodes, there have been some comments about being able to demonstrate or at least run the software that we're unwrapping, some of it from Computer Reset. And we've actually got quite a few things to unwrap from Computer Reset, so hope you'll stay tuned for those. So today, and maybe later on this evening, we'll do a follow-up episode with something else to unwrap. But today we're going to talk about the original IBM PC. This is going to be the system that we're going to at least demo the majority of the software on, unless the IBM system requirements say otherwise, right? And you never know what those are going to be. But we'll always check on the back of the box, see what we've got. So quite a few years ago, I acquired this IBM PC 5150 with the 5161 expansion unit outside of Massachusetts, or outside of Boston, Massachusetts. And while the computer itself did not come from Computer Reset, a good portion of the expansion cards did, and they came from Computer Reset during the in-business days. And we'll talk about that a little bit. These two units have been in storage for quite a while. This is the 5161. And when I put them into storage, I didn't have them shrink wrapped, but, got some of that cellophane wrap that you get at shipping stores, moving stores. So that's on there. Let's unwrap, shall we? Try to. I think unless you've got a pair of scissors or a razor, it's always easier to wrap something up than it is to unwrap it. You might agree with me there. Now, when I mentioned that the expansion unit and the system unit did not come from Computer Reset, but some of the expansion cards did, let's talk about what we've got in this thing. We have, of course, the expander card, which connects to the extender card in the system unit. Of course, that came with it. The game controller, game port card. This may or may not be asynchronous communications or synchronous communications. All of the expansion cards in here are IBM with the exception of an 8-bit, 16-bit Intel NIC. But I'm not sure that's going to work in here because I've heard conflicting reports that the 8/16-bit NICs were made for the PC-AT versus the PC or the XT. So if you can shed some light on that, go ahead and put it in the comments. Let's talk about the system unit now. Oh. Whereas this one unwraps a hell of a lot better than the other one. Much better. Probably noticed that the system unit's case chassis is in much better shape than the expansion unit. I never had time really to take care of that. But most people have said just find a a 5150, 5160, or even another 5161. That we could use to donate a top. So what's in this 51? What's in this 5150? Of course, you've got the extender card. You've got a CGA with composite card. No, that's not true. We've got the disc controller, CGA with composite, the extender card, and then slots of 1 and 2 are filled with the 256 meg expansions. Although one is not fully utilized because there's 256 or 384 on the motherboard. I don't remember which. So we're going to take a quick break right now. Not brought to you by any sponsor because we don't have any yet, because this really is a redneck show so far. When you usually do find an expansion unit in the wild, it might have the extension card in it, which of course is always a good thing. But if you don't have the original PC it came with, you might have a hard time finding the extender card for it. Now, there is a homebrew project that I believe is in the development stage, because there is some support for it. A lot of people out there with passive backplanes and other expansion units that they want to get their expansion units connected to their original PC. At the break, I was looking for the cable that goes from the expansion unit to the system unit. Big thing. I mean, what is that, 50 pins? AMP does make a version that's available in case you're, not lucky enough to get the IBM connector. We'll take some time. I pulled the table out. We'll get the system unit connected. I'm almost thinking to be able to set this up, maybe put the system unit on top of the expansion unit, but we won't do that right now. We'll see how the cables fit in the back. Got a couple of things left to unwrap. Original Model F keyboard. Now it seems everybody's so keyboard happy they want to split them up from the computer they came with, charge a premium for them. I was lucky enough to get this with this system at the time. I just noticed it is missing one of the cork feet, but there's so many restoration kits for that available. Okay. Oh yeah, shrink wrap that's so good it doesn't want to come off. There we go. Put the keyboard over on the system unit. Plug it in. Make sure to plug it into the right port, because if you're looking over in the back and it's not very bright, I suppose you could plug it into the cassette board. And then the last piece we've got to unwrap is the 5153 color display. I do have a 5152 graphics printer, which did not work even years ago when we got it. When you turn it on, it just has this really annoying loud beep. And if anybody has any ideas about that, go ahead and please post in the comments. I didn't dig too much into it terribly, because at that point in time I had posted some comments in some forums and everybody's attitude was like, just junk it and find another one. But hey, we're all about restoring this vintage gear. Maybe we'll come up with something. Never can tell, right? Actually, I'm going to take another quick little break and get this unwrapped. I'm not going to make you sit through this. Although, if I've done any good post editing, good for me, I'll put an overlay that says what at the beginning, what time you can skip to, so you can miss all this. So we're back. We've got the monitor unwrapped. Just going to plug it into the CGA card. That's plugged in. Now there are a couple of things that came with the computer that we're not plugging in right now. I actually ended up a backpack, 3.5-inch disk drive. So that would certainly help get more modern software onto this. But for right now, we just want to see if we can get it powered up without exploding, because as I mentioned before, it's been sitting for a while. Get the power cords. IBM always recommended. Plug the cord into your equipment, then plug it into the outlet. Okay. Moment of truth. Okay. Turn the monitor on, leave it on for a little bit. Oh, that's a good sign, right? Now, anybody who's got an expansion unit, you've got to turn your expansion unit on first before you turn your system unit on. We're going to do that. You might have noticed that on the side, I have the PC key lock option. I got them for both. I used to have this at a school I worked at. The students loved it, play Oregon Trail on it. So, all right, we're going to fire up the expansion unit first. Hopefully there's no magic smoke. It has dual 20 meg hard drives. And we're going to fire up the PC, run some Advanced Diagnostics. Just going to change the orientation of the camera, guys. Hope you don't mind. Get you a little bit closer. And yeah, you can see me in the reflection, but I guess that's just the way it is until I get a better setup. If anybody remembers, boy, does it ever take forever with a 640K system to rev up. Here we go. Let's do a system checkout. It isn't hung up. If I remember according to the documentation, it always takes a little bit from this point. Okay, perfect. So now that I've got this list, and so it's my understanding that I ordered a new color graphics adapter from CR, a printer, asynchronous communications, alternate asynchronous communications, the game controller, and the data link controller. The expansion unit had come with one hard disk already, but I upgraded the controller card from the 10 meg version to the 20 meg version and ended up getting another hard disk from an e-waste recycler in Massachusetts. And there's still two empty expansion slots, and hoping we'll get some other expansion cards from CR. As of the time of this video, I am looking for the voice assistant, which kind of turns your computer into a giant answering machine. Pretty neat for 85, I thought. So let's go ahead. That is accurate. And we're gonna run one time. We'll run all the way through. We'll run all options. And just to get ahead of it, I'm going to replace the diagnostics disk with 2 scratch disks. So when we get to the floppy test, we're ready to go. And you think memory diagnostics on today's computers take a long time. Well, let's go ahead and do this, right? Love the click. Great. Oh, what do you think? Run them all? And unless you got a Steve Gibson light pen, go ahead and skip it. All right, great. Hey. It might just be me, but I wonder, when you have your disk drive operate like that, does it sound like a washing machine? Actually, I'm not sure if you're even able to hear the way the floppy drive is operating over the ambient noise of the expansion unit. I had a couple of students tell me once it sounded like a 747. But the fact that the original equipment, 40, well, could be potentially between 35 and 40 years old this year. If you're still hanging around and you haven't closed my video yet, thank you for sticking around. I do just want to make sure that everything in this machine is up to snuff before we start demoing some of the Unwrapped software on it. And just for giggles, we'll do drive B. Another thing that amazes me, like almost 40-year-old tandem floppy disk drives that are still just chugging right along. The part that always worries me is when we get to the hard drive diagnostics, the 1700 series, where we check the controller and then the drives themselves. Because you never know. You never know when these are finally going to give up the ghost. Great, both disk drives are working as they should. Well, within reason. We'll go back to the control program. Oh, I don't have the wrap plug. Not yet, anyway. So, it will fail expectedly. I don't know if the failure of the wrap plug automatically kicks it back to the main menu or if that's just by design. Usually when I run diagnostics like this, I set it for multiple times, 99 times, which might as well be infinite to give the computer a good burn-in. But we'll say one time and we'll just run. Okay. Start with drive D and we'll work our way backwards. Of course, it always tells you it's going to use the last cylinder of the drive to run destructive write tests, and unless you have got your drive absolutely jam-packed full of data, should be okay. Another test to see if I've done really good post-editing. The video is still going to be rough cut. I will hopefully have in the show notes for you at the beginning if you want to skip this and go to the next drive. since the disk drive diagnostics are done, I'm going to take the scratch discs out and I will put the diagnostic disc back in. And if you want to be a true believer of the technology of the period, we're going to have to park the drives before we shut down and have it give you the "it is safe to move your machine" message. Another thing that I find pretty amazing is when you think about, magnetic medium that's pushing 40 years old, that still works. And here we are throwing stuff away in such shorter periods of time. That's exciting. No failures. Let's do drive C. That's a relief. Both hard drives passed diagnostics. We're going to end the system checkout, and we're going to prepare the system for moving. Now, I do want to point out that you can operate the system unit without the expansion unit plugged in or turned on, but when you do that, you will get an error indicated on the screen. I've just realized I've been using the wrong terminology. It's the extender card, which is in the system unit, and then the receiver card in the expansion unit. So the extender card will report a failure, but as far as I know, it doesn't. There's no detrimental effects. So thanks for watching me get this 5150 and 5161 back online. We might have the follow-up unwrap tonight, hopefully. Thanks for watching.